Hey, what's up guys, Kiddo here and welcome to another video. So this time I got the privilege of interviewing one of the Primal Earth devs. I just want to give you guys a quick information that in this video I won't introduce everything that we covered up. So if you guys want to watch the full unedited video on or interview, it will be on my second channel. Link will be down in the description below. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into the video. Now, for the people who are watching this and don't really know who you are and what you do, if you guys could do a little small introduction.
So I'm Rob. I'm the community manager for Primal Earth. Basically, I help interview and put together the staff team and upkeep the rules of the Discord and get the game moving forward as far as like on the community aspect. And then I also help with the devs coming up with like ideas for how to make money off the game because they're more focused on kind of making the game. So I come up with the more business side and helping them with that.
I'm Hakai. I manage the entire game. I create the game, and I'm the lead developer of Primal Earth.
I am Queen of Nugs or Nugs. I'm one of the head admins for Primal Earth. I kind of just keep things flowing through the Discord, and once the game's released, also help in game and all that other stuff, and help answer questions and all the basic head admin needs as well.
So in total, how many devs work in Primal Earth currently?
There are three of us.
Which is Goddess, Hakai.
Goddess, Kakai, and Yixi.
What's the role of Goddess and Nixis?
Goddess is the environmental designer. She creates the landscapes. She also does map work, and she does not map work, fur work, so fur for the animals. And Yixi does the animations, and both of them actually edit the models that we use currently.
Starting this interview, I do want to say that the game looks pretty beautiful, as you guys may know. Might be one of the most graphic detail quality games out there. But the big issue right off the bat that I do have to pinpoint is the performance. Will you have something in mind to tune down a little bit the performance issue? Because I've noticed that you guys, I think you use 4K resolutions, 2K resolution textures, if I'm not mistaken, for the rocks.
We do.
And that can have a very significant impact. So do you guys have any solution for that?
Yes, as far as optimization goes, we definitely need to have the dedicated servers going, because that is something that will boost the performance of the game. But also as well as the rock textures and things like that, we have toned down things quite a bit, so that we can still hold on to the good appearance of what things look like in the game, and also still have the optimization part of the game still help performance on low-end PCs to run the game a little bit more fluent than it has, because some people have not even been able to load into the game. One of the main problems that we had was people having problems with the fur. Some of the LODs weren't working properly, so even on low settings, it still was running it on epic settings. So that would, of course, cause people to crash or have very bad frames. But all that will be addressed in the next few coming patches for the game. So I do hope that we can have more players play without having any problems.
And hopefully people with low-end PCs will eventually be able to play your games, and hopefully the quality won't be as disadvantage, because as you guys know, if you play on low, you will take off the grass and you will be able to render and see people in bushes, which for me that is a big problem, and that happens with Anomalia and with other games. But there are a few games that manage to keep the tall grass and the bushes rendering at all times, even in low quality. I don't know if you guys will do that, or if you guys have a different approach for that problem.
Yes, we do. It was supposed to be in the last patch, but I actually had to wipe the my source control and download the project back, which once we did put the patch out, that change wasn't added, so it will be added in the next patch. But the grass won't disappear on low settings. As far as render distance things go, you still will be required to be able to at least render another player until they are completely out of the range, and that is where the grass, like tall grass, bushes that never disappear, will start disappearing once it's at that range. So you won't really be able to cheat just by lowering your settings to low. So yeah, that will be addressed.
As for gameplay mechanics and systems, what do you guys have in mind for Primal Earth?
Yes. I do want to make each and every single animal unique as far as abilities, the way that they play, their survival times, as far as how long it takes for them to grow, how long it takes them to lose their water, their food, and everything like that. One of the biggest things I will say is just playing as one creature versus another. It won't feel the same. It won't feel repetitive. It won't feel as if, okay, there's only one animal in this game that everyone should be playing because it just destroys the ecosystem or something like that. It'll be actually fun to the point where I want players to be addicted to it, like they can't get off this game. So I can break down a lot of I'll just give you an example of some of the mechanics that I'm talking about. Let's just say as a lion, there's a bunch of roles that a lion will play in the game. As far as real life, the male lions will patrol their territory to keep out intruders, to protect their pride. So you will see things like that in game, so that you have an actual role to play inside of your pride. If you don't have a pride, you're going to be looking for a pride. If you are trying to be a solitary lion or something like that, you can do that, but it will be kind of a little bit harder for you to, sustain yourself. So you're kind of pushed to play as an animal would in real life, if that makes sense, because it is more on a realistic aspect, but there are some aspects in the game that are not realistic. I can get into the enhancements that you would get to as your animal progresses. There is something called a primal state, and that's where your animal will definitely not be in the realistic aspect of what you see in your everyday animal. But this is something that will tie into the reason why we call this game Primal Earth, and that's one of the things that I think will make this game very unique and fun to play.
In this genre of games, there are the PvPers, the role players, the people who just jump in and like to socialize and just have fun. And a lot of the times, what I see that sometimes failed in the animal genre is that sometimes you want the game to play and feel as a certain way, but the players grab that and shift that to a different side. When you say territories, male should and will, is that a system that you're trying to implement, or is that something that people as a role-playing aspect will do?
So there's game modes that'll be going into this game. I should have clarified. On survival, that is something that you would be required to do as a male lion. Like it's a goal. You don't have to. Let's just say I'm not going to force you to play that way, but it's pretty much encouraged to play that way. There's benefits from playing that way to actually play as an animal would in real life. But like I said, there are game modes where you can just chill. You can just sit there and use the text chat and talk to other players, but you don't have to actually do any objectives in the game. So that would help people that don't want to actually PvP. Also people that just want to communicate in global and just sit there and casually play as an animal. You can still do that, but I would say for the people that are PvPers, that like to actually go up against other players, not just going up against AI or anything like that, the survival game mode would be for you. So that's where it'll be more of a hardcore type of play style, so that it's not just everyone's running around as the top tier creature because it's so easy to get to. I want the game to be challenging and fun and addicting at the same time.
And then to help explain the territory thing a little bit more, like there's going to be territories in game and you can control, and we'll have it where you can mark your territory and there'll be scents. So if you're patrolling, you'll be able to smell if someone else is trying to mark it or like coming towards your territory, and that's what would encourage you to do that so you can get more information. That's
pretty cool. Something like, let's say, Wolf Quest system?
Yeah, something.
Where you could, something like that, both of that. So it won't be your typical servers that you can just go in and do whatever you want. So there will be different types of game modes for people with different types of playstyle. Is that correct?
Exactly.
So if, let's say, if I'm the average person who wants to have, like, let's say, I will call this a normal gameplay. So I want to do PvP. I want to chill and talk with people? Because it seems like there will be a PvP servers and PvE servers, from what you're saying.
Yes, because like I said, there would be communities that can host their servers and have that option to just keep it PvE, so no PvP pretty much for players if they wanted to just only, sustain themselves by AI or randomly place Gores or stuff like that from the map just because of that game mode, then they would be able to do so. But if you're actually looking for, like you said, the normal experience, then that'll just pretty much be any of the official servers that you would play on, or like I said, any other community that have their own rules of limiting the way that you play or how you play.
So the PvE servers will have AI, the PvP servers won't have AI.
Yes, that's correct. As far as AI goes, there's AI as in, I mean, like currently if you're playing, there's a elephant that just stands there and doesn't attack back or anything like that, and it just flops over and dies. What I mean by that is as a PvE server, there would be Gores that are just already there, so you won't have to walk up and kill something. It'll just pretty much already be there, so you can just eat it and not have to actually play the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But on PvP, there would be AI that move. They will be like little rodents or something like that. Something small that you can kill. There won't currently be any big AI that you would just go around and be able to sustain yourself as an adult creature. But like I said, this is the part that ties into the reason why I wanted the game to be a little bit harder as you're getting to those adult stages, and encourages players to move around and not sit there in AFK, is because that's the playstyle that I'm going for, and also just how big the map will be. It's highly unlikely for players to just sustain themselves only on AI. Yeah, on PvP it's supposed to be a lot harder on the player.
That is something pretty nice to hear, because I'm a fan of easy games where you just jump in and you master the game in maybe 1 hour or so. Having some type of system, sometimes some type of knowledge where it takes, or as a player you need to investigate, study, see how things work, develop your own play style or own mechanics depending on the animal. Because I don't really like the same taboo where games will make the player play as they want them to play and not how the player wants to play, if that makes sense in some way. Because I play Escape from Tarkov, if you guys know a little bit of the game, it is a punishable, really difficult game that not everybody enjoys. But that's what makes the game interesting. They have AIs also, they have players. It's an extractor shooter looting game, and it is very punishable. One mistake and you're dead, and that's it, But I feel like a lot of the people will not enjoy the game if it is too difficult, and people will probably complain. Are you prepared to take those risks, or will you tune down a little bit?
Absolutely. Of course, we're looking for feedback from the community. If the game is extremely hard and no one can survive or anything, then of course we would tune the rates of what we have things at. But I do think it would be I want to say too hard to the point where it's unplayable, but we'll be looking for that feedback as soon as the game is in everyone's hands.
When you say that it's gonna be difficult, it's something pretty nice to hear, because for me, once you spawned in, that's when the challenge comes. Because a lot of the times lion cubs, baby animals, they don't even survive the first stage. There are animals that get birthed in 1 millisecond, they're already dead. But for players, that will be a problem, because you spend a lot of time, a lot of hours growing that animal, and then you die, and then they lose the appetite to come back and regrowth again. Do you have any sort of, let's say, approach to that? How will the growth system be?
So as far as growth goes, the game is not meant to be like sitting there for hours or days even to grow your animals. So that part of the game, I think the longest it will take something to reach adulthood would be 3 to 4 hours for an adult elephant. Other than that, it would be 2 hours for like an adult African male lion. Everything else is literally either 45 minutes to an hour, or even the smallest creatures in the game will take 30 to 20 minutes to grow. So it is kind of more on a fast pace, I think, of games where it will take for you to get to an adult version of your animal. But like I said, even after adult, there is another growth stage that you can get to. So that one will take a little bit longer to get to, and it will depend on how active you are in the game to achieve it faster. But I would say it's not too punishing to the point where if you die on your creature, you don't want to come back and play again. I know there's no way to completely stop people from raging after they die on the game, because that happens in pretty much every game that you play. There's always going to be some rager, but I do think it's not too punishing to stop someone from continuing to play the game after their death.
Will there be, let's say, a end for your animal? Because this is something that I've read people talk about. Once you go into your primal stage, will you eventually die, or will you only die if you get killed? Will there be any consequences on being a primal adult? Will there be different, let's say, behaviors? Let's say adult is more faster, but if you get to primal, you do more damage, but because you're in your primal, you're kind of an old animal, so you're slower, more vulnerable, for example. Because people have talked about the fact of your animal dying. Will that be something that you guys ever thought of, or will not be included?
I don't want players to die from like old growth or being old. I would just say what will kill you is another player, and the environment, things like that. But it won't be because of old age. So the things about the primals that you would be able to do is you can build your animal however you like. It'll be completely up to you. There'll be attributes for your animal, and as you spend your points on one of the attributes, it'll make the cost of the other attributes go up. So it will take a lot longer for you to completely have a decked out animal, but that is possible. Like, it's the longer you live, the more things you do, eventually you could have a maxed out primal, but that will take a very long time. So in order to keep the gameplay fair, not broken, I would say, that's the reason why it's so difficult to even gain those points in the first place. So you're looking at a very long time if you wanted to have a maxed out primal. But I would say the speed and things like that will decline, or your stamina, something like that. It is definitely going to take a toll once you started to get into that primal phase. You might be slower. You won't be weaker, but you will be like slower. You might lose your stam faster, or things like that. So spending your points on attributes like that to keep that up to par with the rest of the adults would definitely cost a lot of your points, but it can be done so that there are basically pros and cons that come with the primal phase, and those cons could be negated as long as you stay alive and you're still like earning enough of those points to negate what happens as you get older. You can be very, very powerful. You can still it's still stronger than the adult phase, but you will definitely have to be wise on how you spend those points to keep your animal on the top of the food chain, or as the best defense of your herd can see, like as if you were an adult primal elephant or something like that. Because elephants are not the fastest things moving around, but they definitely hit hard. So as a primal, if you achieve that state as an elephant, you'll definitely be like the defender of your herd. What I would say is you don't want to be, I would say, like, not capable of defending your herd as you get to the primal stage. So it'll be something that you would like to put your points into your elephant wisely, so that you are not defective, I would say. Like, so you still will be able to do a lot as your primal phase, but it won't be something that's just, oh, I reached primal and I can just go and tear the entire server up. Like, it won't be something like that. It'll just be like, I have something powerful in my possession. I just need to know how to play the game and have a good time.
With big powers come big responsibility, basically.
Absolutely.
So when you say points, what do you mean by points? Is there going to be a point system in the game since you were born, or it's just the primal stage that will give you those points and attributes?
So it will be an experience system. That's what we're going to call it. You will gain experience points just from playing the game. So from the moment you're either spawned in or you're birthed in, you start gaining experience points. If you're near your pride, family, parents, or whatever, and they're active, they're doing something, they're hunting, they're defending, they're patrolling, they're migrating, you would gain your experience points from that. If you defend your herd, you gain experience points from that. If you have a successful hunt, you gain experience points. If you are interactive with the environment, so as far as like a leopard climbing a tree, you would gain experience points from that. Patrolling the territory, like I said, so moving inside of your territory, you will gain experience points from that. Capturing other territories, you gain experience points. So as you can see, what I'm basically saying is you gain experience from pretty much almost doing every action in the game. As long as you're doing something and being active, you will gain those points. There are things that you can do to gain points faster in the game, but all in all, you would be able to gain those experience points to enhance your creature as time goes.
Will you have like different types of traits? For example, we have a line, we have two lines, line A and line B. Will line A have the same traits of line B, or will line B make a separate and different type of build on the traits?
There will be a bunch of different options. So one line could, for example, be completely spec'd into biting and have a be able to get in there and bite and hold their neck or like strangle something better, whereas another one might be more willing to grapple, like he said, and hold on to an animal easier in that way.
So we'll make building an animal not really equal.
Yeah, so there will be some traits that you do have, you share the same. As far as I would say speed will go, like all animals would pretty much be sharing the same speed. But as far as agility goes, there are things that you can spec into that could make your animal pick up speed faster or something like that. So you can spec into that for agility. But as far as speed goes, you're all like running the same speed that you normally would, if that makes sense. Another thing I was going to say is there is something called the broadcast where the animal would roar or whatever. Let's say there is an ability that you can spec into for that will vocalize your animal's pitch a lot louder, and that also gains you more points on your territory that you're claiming just from specking your points into that. That is something that I don't consider would be game breaking. Like it's not something that would just completely change the way that a fight goes or anything like that, or if there's an ability that weakens your target. There's nothing like that. Like there's nothing I can do to another player that will weaken them and give me the upper opportunity. There's just only things I can do that will enhance my creature so that I can play it to the play style that I'm going for. So if I know as me, I'm more of a player that likes to grapple things as a lion. That's just me. I want to be able to jump on something's back and it's hard to get me off. So there's things that I can spec into that will help me get there. And as far as a herbivore player, let's say they're spec'd out into getting me off as an attacker. There's things that they can spec into for that. So let's just say you're bucking. Your bucking is something that will drain the target that is attacking you stamina so that they get it off of you. So let's just say I'm spec'd out into grappling, so I'm very strong at grappling, and this other player is spec'd out into bucking. If both of those attributes are maxed out, then it's mitigated. It's like 50-50 back to normal. So it won't be heavily into one person's playstyle versus the other. You are still capable. That's why I said you'll be able to spend your points wisely on what you want to spec your animal in. If you're more of an escape artist and you want to get out of there, agility may be your thing. As a leopard player, I would want to get out of there as quickly as possible. I want to take my kill up a tree. So if I know that there's a hyena coming for me, I want to be spec'd out into agility, because I want to be able to grab my target I just got and take it up a tree out of the harm's way of a hyena pack or a wild dog pack that's trying to take my kill away from me. So that's what I'm saying is, and you need to think about how an animal will actually do it in real life, and those are the traits that you will be seeing in game. But it won't be anything game breaking as defense or a survival thing that makes you not lose your food or water or anything like that. It's nothing like that. Like I said, the traits are literally broken down into what you see in everyday animals. And that's what we're trying to put into the game. So I don't think that's going to be broken. Now, as I can say that, people always have a tendency to find ways to use mechanics the way that they're not intended. So that's what I'm saying. We will be watching and we will be adjusting as time goes. It's not something that's set in stone or you just, okay, yeah, we're never changing this. No, everything is always subject to change until we get it to where we want it to be. I don't think anything as far as the attributes for the game or any mechanics for the game, anything like that will ever just be considered broken without being looked at. I will be looking forward to seeing your feedback when we get there, but I promise you, I don't think the attribute system, the experience system will be game breaking at all.
Now, a lot of people in my videos, they always ask this question for Anomalia. I think you guys already answered this, but for people who are interested, will Primal Earth be coming to consoles eventually or not?
So I believe right now the plan is it will come eventually, but it's not something that is in the forefront or something that we're like working on in this moment.
It will be something that will probably come then.
Yeah,
in
it would
the
be
near
something
future.
that would come like I would say a year or two down the line after we complete the PC version of the game.
And with that, do you have any idea on how you're gonna handle pride fights? Because a lot of people will probably enjoy more fighting prides and eating the dead bodies of other prides, other members, than actually hunting. Will you implement a diet system, for example, to mitigate that problem?
Yes, I mean, there will be pride fights, pack fights, and things like that, but you don't get the same amount of food that you would from a herbivore. So fighting in another pride of lions just to eat them is not going to give you, it's not going to allow you to sustain yourself. You're still going to be looking for those herbivore players. But I will say that if there is just nothing but carnivores on the server, then you're not going to be you're not going to have a pride of like 5+ lions, because you won't be able to, everyone's not going to be able to feed. So you will be able to, still go around and fight other prides, but now you're going to start looking at your friend as a snack because, hey, I'm getting hungry and we're only looking to kill other lions and it's just not giving me that food that I need. That's what I'm saying. It will kind of deter players away from just playing just solely to go and hunt only other carnivores. So hunting them or looking at them as a challenge and just taking them out, but not for food, is more likely than only going around just to eat them, if that makes sense. So you still will be able to do so. I just don't think that killing them for food is going to be a thing. They do give food. It's just not going to be a lot. It won't be, let's say you take down a single zebra versus taking down 3 lions. That zebra is going to give you more food than those 3 lions.
Will you not implement, let's say, a cannibalism system that prevents that to happen?
Yeah, so cannibalism,
like in the Isle.
So yeah, I would say cannibalism does happen in the real world. You may see a lion eating another lion. You may see a hyena eating another hyena. You may see a leopard eating their cub or something like that. Those things do happen. They're just unlikely because the animal will prefer to eat what they normally do, their normal diet. They don't usually go and cannibalize to eat the same species as themselves. But that does happen. So I will say that the sickness thing that you can get from eating another animal, I'm not too sure if I want to implement that. Or eating the same animal as yourself, I'm not too sure if I want to implement that. But what I'm saying that is in game is that it's just the food value that you get from eating your same species is not enough to really sustain you. I was gonna say it could stop you from starvation. So if that's the last thing that you had to go to because, hey, I can't find anything else and I just ran upon another player that's playing the same creature as me and I don't want to die, so I'm killing them for food. It will give you food. It's just something that you still will be hungry. You still need to go and find that other body that will fill you up, if that makes sense.
And how will be that for herbivores? In general, have it easier because food is all the way. But I loved how the Isle implemented their system. It's not just go there and eat. You have the diet system where you have to find this and that, and you also have the migration, etc. But with herbivores, usually you have food everywhere, so it's a little bit more easier to have a full stomach, etc. And how do you think that will be compared to the carnivores?
So the herbivores, there will be a system where the rains and things like that will cause plants to more become like a more of a bountiful land. So plants and things like that, fruits, things that herbivores will need to sustain themselves will be present. So if there's an area that has not rained in a while, it will be most likely where the herbivores won't be, and that will trigger like the rains to start raining in that area, which will create the herbivores to want to migrate to these areas to eat these foods, because it will benefit them better than eating normal grass. Like, because you can graze pretty much wherever grass is. The fruits and bushes and things like that that your animal is seeking out the most will help benefit you. So there will be areas where it's just pretty much majority of the time would be bountiful, and those would be sought out areas where most herbivore players would go. But if you see something like a very valuable fruit or plant or whatever, you might be willing to fight for it. So herbivores would be fighting for these areas, I would say, because they want to keep these resources for themselves, and they don't want just anyone to come in here and eat them. So you will see herbivores interacting with each other in that way to keep each other out so that they can have them for themselves. Which is why I say it's kind of a territory system for herbivores, because I will say some herbivores can be territorial, but the foods and things that they would eat, they would be wanting to protect those, or to keep them for themselves, or to provide them for their young, because that will help benefit their young in many ways, as far as gaining more experience points for them, helping them grow faster, things like that. It will be sought after for herbivores. So I don't think it will be. Yes, it will be easier because these things they don't fight back. You can just eat them, but you might have a problem on your hands if you're eating something that another herbivore needs. For example, let's just say I was a Cape buffalo and I traveled all the way to this area, but there's a herd of wildebeest here and we're after the same plant, we're after the same fruit. It will benefit me more than it will benefit them. Hey, I need you guys to move. So you might see an aggressive rhino coming in to stop a buffalo from eating something that it needs, for example. So I don't think it'll just be so easy for herbivores that they don't have to worry about anything. It still would be more of a PvP thing, I would say, for herbivores to manage and keep these fruits and things for themselves.
So there will be a little bit more of action in the PvP herbivore life.
Absolutely, that's what I'm going for.
Will body block be a thing?
So I assume by body block you mean like after a pride or something successfully kills, let's just say a herbivore, the herbivores come over and just stand above the body so that they're denying you from getting it. Is that what you mean?
No, more of a protect your child. So if you have a, let's say, if I'm an elephant or a rhino and I have my baby calf next to me and I see a lion charging at him, I can just block the attack. Instead of him hitting my baby or grappling my baby, he grapples me, for example. Or if something that it's gonna be like the lion just goes through me and hits my my baby.
So there is collision in the game, so the lion will definitely have to be accurate when it's aiming for your child to not grapple you, but you won't be able to just completely negate the attack from them hitting your baby. They will have, like I said, it will have to be accurate. They have to run up to your actual child and hit them and not you.
And will you be able to take, for example, people off you when they're getting grappled?
Yes. So if your baby is getting grappled by a lion, you could come up and hit that lion off.
So it won't be just a one-hit kill, for example.
No, it won't be a one-hit kill. As an elephant, if you are hitting something like a hyena and you hit it like with a heavy attack, then and you're an adult, you most likely will be destroying that hyena.
With the smaller ones, hyenas and wild dogs, be able to actually take down a full-grown animal, because we know that sometimes wild dogs can just decimate buffaloes. Will that be something that you guys will be possible in the game? And will animals have like a weak point, for example, that for example, buffalo's weak points are in the rear, so if you bite that multiple times, it will do more damage and maybe bleed out?
Yes,
or there won't be no hit points like that?
Yes, we do plan to have locational damage and locational grappling. That the locational grappling is something that will be in the game eventually. It won't be something that we have, but it's something that I do plan to implement, so that this is what to go off of what Rob told you earlier. the grappling for a lion. It could depend on which part of the animal that you grapple. You could go for their spine, sever their spine, make them immobilized so they move slower or something like that. You could go for their throat, which will play a suffocation animation to the person that's being grappled as their screen is getting darker phase out, and then now they're dead. Things like that. So as far as I would say the grappling system goes, I think it will definitely be strong, but for the locational grappling, so as wild dogs, you don't jump on the back of animals like a lion would. Wild dogs would go for your limbs and things like that. To, like you said, for a buffalo, your weak point would be your hind legs or something like that. So as a wild dog, if I'm going to attack a African buffalo, I'm not going to go and try to grapple it in the face. I'm not going to even try to grapple it on the side. Most likely the target that you're going for is the rear of the animal, which some animals, well, most animals, I would say, will definitely be able to have a rear attack, which would be like a kick or something like that. And then if they don't have a kick, like an animal that wouldn't normally kick you, they have their attack that still targets their rear, so they could do like a quick turnaround swipe or a quick turnaround, and as a wildebeest or a buffalo, a headbutt that will they will go low and scoop you up into pretty much launch you into the air. That type of attack that they can do to protect their rear. So it will definitely be having players having to be wise when they're going to attack something, but it won't just be like, oh, he turned around, I go grapple, easy, I'm out. It won't be a hit and run system like you were thinking, especially as wild dogs going up against something as big as a buffalo. The hit and run tactic is not something that is going to really work out for you. So you're really going to have to, you could do it, but it will take you a lot longer to kill, which will make it more challenging. But the grappling system is something I think is going to be really strong for wild dogs if they're trying to take down something like a buffalo, which is really big. But I don't think the fight would be anything like a minute long or anything. It's going to be one of those fights where it's going to take some time, but you can bring it down.
With the something that came to mind, because we talked about the herbivore defending the food and having that fight, will there be, let's say, synergy between herbivores? Certain synergies.
Yes, some herbivores may benefit from traveling together, like a wildebeest and a zebra. You see that happen all the time, but you never usually see elephants walking with Cape buffaloes, for example. So some herbivores will have that synergy where they will do better, or not even better, but can do well with each other. And there are certain synergies that won't be a thing, because a rhino and an elephant are not going to be friends walking around together, because the things that they will require to sustain themselves are going to be similar, so they're not going to really want to see each other around. This is what I went by when I mentioned that herbivores will have that PvP aspect, is because they're going to want to keep things for themselves or for their group, and they're not going to want outsiders to have them.
Will hygiene be a thing?
Yes. So by that, do you
let's say stay clean?
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Like grooming yourself, that would be a thing, or grooming your offspring. You'll have that option to be able to clean them, to keep their scents kind of hidden so that predators don't find them, things like that. You'll be able to groom yourself. Like I said, wild dogs have this special thing, pack wise, that one of their abilities that they'll be able to do is to help their pack member heal. Especially after they take damage, they would be able to go up and lick the wounds and things like that to help their pack member heal faster. So that is an example of hygiene, I want to say, and just the thing that I already mentioned about your offspring, being able to keep them clean, and yourself, of course.
Well, will players be able to help other players on the hygiene, for example? This is something, example that comes to mind is that I don't know if you guys will implement birds, but usually there is a few synergies between animals. There's this bird that cleans the buffalo and other animals. That's something that just came to mind. Having synergy that another animal, depending on the type of animal that you guys are going to implement, that can kind of help You know, for example, I'm gonna grab the buffalo. I'm gonna grab buffalo, and I need to get something cleaned up because it gives me this or that, for example. So I need to try and find that player to kind of help me with that. I don't know if that's gonna be implemented. Have more of a synergy between other animals, so you have to search other animals to try and help you with your problem.
I would say that really depends. There are a lot of animals that do have that type of synergy, like a warthog and a meerkat for burrows and things like that. Um, so I would say yes, but it will depend on certain animals. There won't really be that many animals that have that certain synergy though. So, but as far as hygiene cleaning, um that will depend on the animal that you are playing, because like a buffalo won't really go up to another buffalo and help it with its hygiene, but it will do that for its young. um so uh I will say it's really depending on the animal, and I don't really want to get into each and every one that will do that.
Mhm.
But I will say yes, it really does depend, and it won't be very likely for many of those interactions to be in the game.
Will Gore be a thing?
Yes, gore is a thing that I do want to implement. The game is something, or I would say, is it could get a little bit nasty at times because of some of the interactions that are going to happen. But I think that it's needed. It's educational, and it will really give that, you know, genre off of life that we're trying to give to people that play this game, to live through the eyes of an animal. So I
Mhm.
think gore is one of the things that is really necessary. I'm thinking of adding the filter for those people that just can't handle seeing blood or things like that. So
Mhm.
I do want to have that option in there for them to turn that off. But gore is something I think will definitely be important to have in the game.
And how about the mating system?
So the mating system, you have this mating call. Once you get close enough to the person that you're choosing to mate with, you can produce a certain amount of offspring as you would in real life, as like a lion could have 6 cubs and things like that. Um, it will come down to chance. Like I said, there's going to be experience points that can help you enhance that so that you always have an increased amount of offspring. Um, as far as the invitational system goes, to join your friend that is pregnant or anything like that, they would basically be an option for players to just openly accept it. And there's going to be a private option so that you have to invite the person to be your offspring, or they can send a request and you can approve it as the parents to allow the offspring to join the game. And once that happens, you will be birthed in, and you would play the game as normal. And like I said, you would play with your pride pack, herd, or whatever, and gain experience points like that, and grow up and play as you normally would.
And how about, let's say, keeping your animals mentality or boredom away? For example, an elephant going up to a tree and just scratch it, you know, so, or maybe rolling on mud, for example.
Yes,
Will
so
that
there
be
are
something?
yes, there's environmental things that you'll be able to do. For a lot of the cats, you'll be able to claw the trees and things like that, which will gain you experience points. Wallowing will be a thing. Taking mud baths, taking dirt baths, as you know, a lot of the animals will do, um, which will help with the hygiene and things like I was telling you before. I do plan to have things like infections, sickness from having poor hygiene, which will make your animal suffer if you're not playing the game as you normally would, or keeping yourself clean, those type of things. Um, we're going to plan to. Goddess wants to add heat rays and things like that into the game, so that there's times where it could be really hot. So taking things like mud baths and dirt baths and things like that will help your animal counter that, I would say, and still be able to enjoy the game. And if you choose not to do those things, then like I said, there's consequences from them. So I do think that's one of the more important things in the game that will make it fun. To It's just, you can do things to, if you get bored, to just go around and have something to do, to interact with.
Are you thinking of implementing maybe a quest system?
A quest system, I'm not really sure I'm going to do that. I don't think I will be doing any quests, but there are things that you can do, but it's not really a quest.
That's pretty good to hear, because I don't really like quests in survival games, especially Animal. I think it takes the purpose. I think people need to try and find a different approach to make people move around or do things. That's why having, let's say, a complex system of grooming, interaction, and do multiple things, because I think it's a healthy thing having a balance between PvE and PvP. I think people, if you don't want a PvP, then there's a lot of things that you can do on the PvP. But sometimes games don't really focus a lot on PvE, they focus more on PvP. So if people, are tired of fighting, you can just focus on PvE, do the hygiene, travel around, try to do the diet system, trying to make your animal happy if that will be a thing. But if you also just want to PvP, you can PvP. There needs to be a balance between both. So a lot of people, and that's why I don't really like Path of Titans, there's a quest system. I also read people talking about quest systems for Animalia, and I don't really like. I think that just ruins our overall gameplay. For me, that is a plus. If Primal Earth doesn't have a quest system, I'm pretty happy, but a lot of people might not like, that idea, but hopefully the community will. Because I think it takes the overall survivability. I'm up for realism. The more harsh, and problematic it is, for me, it's for the better. Now, I know for a fact that people they don't really like hard things. They don't really like to figure out how to do this and take their time and, waste their time and trying to figure out how the game should work, how this system actually works, what you can do and cannot do. People like sometimes things that are easy to comprehend. So that's why I told you in the beginning that a lot of people might ask you to tune down a bit, add this or that, and it's really important for you guys as developers stay true to what you really want the game to be, because I've seen games becoming really, really bad because of the community. So being a difficult animal survival game, for me, it's a plus. Would you say that, Rob, would you say that the game is mainly focused in realism or in details? Because there's a difference between realistic stuff and detailed.
I would say it's mostly focused in details of details of the realism. Obviously the game's not fully realistic, like we have primal form and things like that, so we're not going for full realism, but we want to have realistic details.
What would you be able to customize in an animal, for example?
So the eye color will be completely customizable. You'll be able to make your eyes any color you like. For the patterns, we're gonna have set patterns with color options, so you can change the different colors of the skins. When it comes to small details like the lion's mane or like the tusk on an elephant, things like that, we're gonna make those customizable. And then in the future, we want to make and implement different scars that you can add to your animals and have like battle wounds and things like that.
That is something pretty interesting, because I'm a fan of scars and battle wounds, but I know it is pretty difficult to implement that in a real scenario in game, in combat. So let's say you go into combat with another lion or with another animal, and the scars that he inflicts on you will eventually, let's say, I don't know the name in English, but they will eventually close up and they will be the outline of the scar. And that would be something that you could actually visible see. So you would be probably able to go to a friend and be like, "What, you see this scar right here? Yeah, this is when I fought like a hyena, and this one was when I fought a rhino. This one was a scar that I gave from a lion." But I know that's probably something really difficult to do. And having probably more of a preset default scars that you can just stick into the skin and that's it. That's also pretty nice. But it would be nice to have like real scars implemented depending on the battles that you have.
I think that could be cool, and I think after we implement the first set of scars where you can like customize it on there, that we might be able to use those to make scars in game. But we would want to make it so you have an option more than like force people to have it, because not everyone wants their animal to not heal back. So we'd have to figure out how to code or like make it work to where you can have the choice of having the scars last or not, if that's something we can figure out.
Because overall it's coding, and it is pretty difficult. Would be nice maybe to see if you use your tusk too much, you might eventually break your tusk, and then you will see a animal with a broken tusk, but it will eventually regen throughout the minutes, not hours but minutes. If you decide to do more of challenge fight where you try to fight a other rhino or either wildebeest, you can either break your horn, then that will have a little bit of a penalize on your damage, for example, but it will eventually grow. Or maybe breaking jaws, breaking claws, for example, something that would be nice to see. But like you said, it takes a little bit more of knowledge of coding. Don't know if in Unreal is possible.
Cool things to have, because then it would make it so that it would be punishing to go into fights. Like if you get injured and break a leg, for example, and then you're walking around slower or running slower, it would have real effects and make you choose your battles and how you play it carefully.
Are you guys actually, now that I'm thinking on adding finish moves for lions?
I'm not 100% sure about finish moves, but I know things like the suffocating bite would be kind of like a finisher, where it's like if they get a small enough prey, they would bite their neck and finish them off by suffocating them. So things like that can maybe be considered like a finishing move, but I don't know if we would make finishing moves in like the traditional sense of like different finishers.
Let's say once the system detects that the animal is dead, it would play a little animation depending if you're a primal or adult, so that it wouldn't be the same, just bite the neck. You might just bite the neck off, something like that, for example. Do a little bit more of a different type of finishing, so that people can actually see a little bit of a difference between a adult and primal, for example. But it's only once the animal is dead. It's not like the animal is still alive and you have this thing, etc., that the animation is playing. Once it's dead, then you have like a finishing move depending on where you grapple or what you do, for example.
I don't think that would be outside the realm of possibility, but I'm not sure that's something that we would work on in the moment right now.
Yeah, it's fair enough. So you have the eating and drinking, but it doesn't really affect your character that much. You can go for long periods of time without eating and drinking, but the main focus is just PvP or do this and that. So it's like, well, that's not a survival game.
Sorry about
With this little small jump scare, I will conclude our little video right here. Make sure to visit my second channel, where I'm gonna upload the full interview with no cuts, no edits, so you guys can listen to everything that we talked about. Keep in mind that there's a few things that I didn't include in this video because I don't want to make this video long. So make sure to jump there and watch, and hopefully you guys with this interview are going to be hyped for Primal Earth. So thank you very much for watching, guys. If you guys are not yet subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more Primal Earth and animal content, and I'll see you guys in a next video. Thank you so much for Queen, Hakai and Rob for setting up this interview and taking their time. I'll catch you guys in a next video.